Hey guys, Desolator Magic here. It's time for another portion of the Magic story. I don't know what better to call it. This isn't really chapter 2, although for the main stories I'm going to do chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just in the title to keep them straight. But they said they do main story, side story, main story, side story. And this is one of the side stories. Also, this is part 1 of a 2-part story. A 2-part side story. So I don't know what I'll end up titling this, but that's what's actually going on in case you're curious. And by the way, the side stories are historically the bomb. I mean, remember the Gitrog monster? I think he had his own side story. Yargle? He probably didn't, but nothing else is coming to mind for some reason. I just remember some of the side stories being really epic. So this one's entitled The Red Route. And I've said it before and I'll stand by it. They should have done the stay home route. I bet something bad's gonna happen to someone. And the characters in the side story are basically the red shirts of the magic world. And honestly, it opens with a merfolk and a chorus swinging from their little hook and line Tarzan systems. That sounds so stupidly dangerous. How do the core even maintain a population if they all go swinging around on lines through the air and just hope they don't unhook or fall or slip or hit into something or anything? Like, that's gotta kill at least a handful of them a day. And for those weightless heartbeats, it appeared as if the whole world moved around them. On Zendikar, this was possible. Yeah, we get it. You're an adrenaline junkie, okay? So they're in Tazim's Deep Umara River Gorge, whatever that is. And then it also says they stopped in the Bagozi Portage. I think that's the French pronunciation. You can blame all the Canadian documentaries I watch. I literally don't know how to say that word in English. Wait, I think we just say portage. I should know. We have them in Wisconsin anyway. So they're chasing rumors of a fallen hedron, an artifact of the world long gone. So then they just outline how stupidly dangerous the swing and leap system is, and how it's, quote, in defiance of natural rules, and one moment of inattention could send you tumbling to the raging water below. Then maybe you should stop doing it. So apparently how they do this as they're traveling up the Umara River Gorge is they find natural or artificial anchor points, and then they just hook that. And if you're swinging at, 100 miles an hour and you're like, okay, time to hook the next one, and you don't find one, I guess you just die then. Oh well. Fantastic sport. I hope it catches on. So Akira basically states as a narration that it is impossible for her hook to miss even though she doesn't throw it until she's already falling. Yeah, we'll see if you still think that once you get a bug in your eye right in the middle of trying to throw it. So Zareth is the merfolk, and eventually Akira yells to Zareth, go red route! So the red route is a difficult quick hook route up the Umara River Gorge that Akira herself set up during the battle. So now that the battle's over and the Eldrazi are defeated-ish, now core line slingers run the red route just to settle bets and to show off. I'm starting to think these people are idiots. So that evening they stop being idiots long enough to make camp atop the high rim of the gorge. So apparently Zareth had returned to Seagate and is now on a mission with her. And now she's all, digging up the past like, oh man, that battle for Zendikar sucked. And the Eldrazi are dicks. But most importantly, she was like, okay, so this is like entirely the fault of people who can move between planes. And they just, beam in and then completely ruin your plane and then beam out. I didn't think I'd say this, but she has a bit of a point. So they're on a mission to go get a hedron because it's going to do something to help rebuild or calm down Zendikar or something. They're not being real clear about it, but apparently it's important. And so Zareth asks her, the hedron, why do you think it fell? And she says, if I had to guess, it simply fell. I hope this writing wins an award. So Akira tells him, hey, you did pretty good on the red route, but you need to work on your follow hook disengagement. So we'll take the green route tomorrow so you can practice. And, of course, Zareth blames his shoulder. He's like, yeah, it's an old injury when I first learned to sling, which nobody should ever do, obviously, for basically that reason. And then Akira's like, hey, those are some weird hooks you're using. He's like, yeah, they came from these faraway runes in Andu or whatever. They're like ancient, super awesome things. And she's like, yeah, there's like weird markings on them and stuff. So then he asks Akira about the Eldrazi and if they're still like a threat or something. And she's like, no, they're gone from this world. As if anybody doesn't know that. But just asking her triggers her like massive PTSD/poetry reading. I'm honestly not really sure what's going on here. It's in italics. I don't even know what that means. But apparently the first attack of the Eldrazi broodlings was pretty bad. Well, then it says she remembered how inexperienced Zareth had been during the battle. If he was there, why is he asking if the Eldrazi are still a threat? Like, you were there. What the hell? So apparently at the start of the battle, she was very confident because she learned to fly on the hooks and crap, and she's pretty good with the blade. But then everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked, and by the Fire Nation, I mean Ulamog. So then they got into this touchy-feely moment about Akiri. I'm sorry to have left the way I did. And she's like, when you left, I was like so super sad. But he's like, I just had to get away from it all. I couldn't handle the quiet. But then it's like, oh, he's back now, though, and that's cool, and I'm over it. Let's go grab a Hedron and save the world. How are they going to carry this thing back? They already said even after a day of travel, it's like 6 more miles up the river near a waterfall. And stones are heavy. So the next day, they finally make it to the waterfall, which was supposed to have dried up, but was clearly not. And Zareth goes, hey, Akiri, where's the big rock? So they get to the top of the waterfall, and the pond that feeds it, which makes no sense because that's not how waterfalls work, is extremely still, which is also not how waterfalls work. And they're like, yeah, there's supposed to be a big rock here. And then she's like, it's not a rock, it's an artifact. So apparently now it's an artifact, even though it's a big rock, and also it's a Hedron. And also it's not there. But yeah, the water is so still they can see right through it, and it's like all kinds of weird iridescent colors and stuff. But that's from like minerals and junk and probably like acid or something. So Akiri's like, hey, don't drink from it. And he's like, is it poison? And she's like, yeah, probably. So they just sat there in silence for a bit after 3 days of travel and not finding the Hedron. And Zareth finally asks, well, what now? So eventually, no joke, they're just like, well, let's go back to the Seagate. So they stopped at some kind of, I mean, I'd say tourist trap, but they say more like expedition common stopping point. It's in Magosi, and it's like an even bigger waterfall or something. I don't know, whatever. So this place currently had dozens of all different explorers there, and all kinds of trade goods and food, and even some rental pack beasts. It even had a petting zoo and a Denny's. So they were running super low on funds, and Akiri spent the last bit on food. So when Zareth is like, oh, I'm going to go get a nice hot shower and another drink, she's like, well, no. But then I guess she was just messing with him because it turns out she picked up a bunch of coins, half up front, half later, for a mission to, I guess, escort, they didn't really say that, but it makes sense, a caravan bound for Coral Helm, which is departing early in the morning the next day. And then as he was going to grab the coin purse that she took out after she told him there is no money, then she dumped it out and showed that it was just stones inside. But then he said he's going to get a drink anyway. I don't know even what reality is at this point. So much joking around about being broke, and then, like, did they really find work, or does it not pay up front, or I don't get it. So that night they got to talking, and Zareth dropped a bombshell. He said, when we return to Seagate, you plan to volunteer us for some secret mission, an expedition into one of those skyclaves. That's why we're out here following up on that Hedron, right? And she's just like, yeah, we're probably going to Marasa. And Seagate thought we might find something useful from the Hedron, but it's not here. So then he's like, well, what's there to find in Marasa? Those skyclaves are all old and dead, which we know is absolutely not true at all. But Akira's like, I don't know, but, you know, our patron's willing to spend a lot of good coin on a bet that something's up there, so hey. So the rumor is you don't spend that amount of coin on a hunch. It's a bet that they can find in Marasa something that would actually help fix their world. And kill all the elementals. Apparently, that was in the last story. I'm not sure I believe that. And so Zareth is like, so what if we go there and we find nothing? And Akira's like, well... And then Zareth recommends, how about we bring back hope? At least we could bring that back to the people. Give the people something to dream about. And Akira's like, hope? Nah, people can't make a fervent blade from hope. And honestly, I just ate the last of the leftover Denny's, so we're coming back empty-handed if we don't find this thing. And then she just goes off on her usual melodramatic BS. You guys should really read this. It's quite poetic, and I don't mean that in a good way. She's like, we gotta find a way to give our people, all of Zendikar's people, because, you know, inclusiveness, and they're totally not all a bunch of racists on that plane. Definitely not. That's never come up in the history of Zendikar ever. But they're gonna give all of Zendikar's people the means by which they might shape a weapon from their pain and use it to heal this world for good. Usually you don't heal things with a weapon, you do the exact opposite, but sure. And then she's just straight up like, well, I'm going to bed. Oh, and earlier, Zareth, probably half joking, was like, hey, we could just, like, totally bail. Like, we could just not go back to Seagate and just, like, go somewhere else. And she's all like, no. So when she's like, I'm going to bed. She asks, so you will actually be here tomorrow, right? And he's like, I'll be there, Akiri. And she reiterates, will you? He's like, you asked me to be there, so I'll be there. Oh, and in the past, he was like a thief and a pickpocket, so very trustworthy. Definitely take Zareth at his word. So then it ends with, Akiri regarded Zareth for a moment, a long moment. Zareth did not see Akiri the fearless voyager, decorated veteran and storied line slinger, but Akiri unnamed, the young corps officer who pulled him through the darkness at Seagate. Her gray skin caked in flat ash of their dead friends in the decayed landscape. Her eyes lit by firelight blank with terror, but still pulling him forward. Akiri who pressed a dead man's spear into his hand and told him that he needed to fight the things that killed the world with a touch, otherwise no one would be left alive when the battle was done. I'll be there, Aki, which is I guess her nickname, Zareth said again. Good, Akiri said. Good, she repeated. What, like evil villain, like good, yes. Anyway, the night dragged on long, and Zareth spent none of it asleep. Okay, that, you're gonna die then. You can't just not sleep and then go swinging from lines and crap. But maybe the merfolk never sleep. They're just up 24/7 making your life a living hell. With their stupid hexproof, unblockable, counter-dumping, overboosted crap. Yes, that seems like the type of menace that would never sleep. They would never cease to stop annoying the rest of intelligent society on any plane. That sounds pretty merfolk to me, so for all I know, that's not even abnormal. So I can't wait to see what happens in the second one. This is a lot of visuals, a lot of setup, not a lot of substance. That's why this is so short. But if you're into imagery, overly emotional storytelling, and really cheesy, unrealistic dialogue and a couple plot holes, go read the actual chapter, which was not written by the same author as last time. So that was Red Route Part 1. Definitely hit subscribe if you don't want to miss Part 2. I'll be covering it as soon as it's up. And actually, Chapter 2 of the main story is up as of right now, so we might have a double lore day today. Fantastic. That'll be in harsh contrast with the rest of the spoilers, which I'm sure suck. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next video.